Do you recognize this photo? What about these? They were all taken with a Hasselblad camera. It's a name every photographer knows. But if you wanted to buy this Hasselblad camera, you'd need over $30,000. And that doesn't even include the lens. So why would anyone pay so much for a camera? And what makes Hasselblads so expensive?
Hasselblad is a name that's synonymous with photography for the past 75 years. The cameras were behind some of the most iconic images taken of the 20th century. Yet even Hasselblad's enviable reputation wasn't enough to protect it from the onslaught of the digital revolution. I remember at the time thinking that maybe this company's better days were well and truly behind it. Most medium format camera manufacturers fell by the wayside, taken out by smaller, cheaper, lighter DSLRs. I sold all of my Hasselblads over 14 years ago. Hasselblad have just released their H6D, a brand new camera that offers some significant improvements over the previous models, including a new autofocus system that enables the photographer to lock onto a specific point, such as the subject's eye, and then recompose. The camera even offers a few features more commonly found on today's smartphones and compact cameras: Wi-Fi, a touchscreen, and even 4K video recording. But in truth, you're not going to be buying this camera for the gizmos. You're going to be buying it for the amazing quality of the lenses and, of course, a very high-end digital back. And when it comes to digital backs, big is most definitely better. The H6D comes with two options for the digital back: a 50 megapixel sensor, which comes in at around $27,000, or a huge 100 megapixel back, which comes in with an equally huge price of over $33,000. And remember, that doesn't include the price of a lens.
My name is Perry Oosting. I'm the CEO of Hasselblad. It's 175 years since Hasselblad as a company existed. Victor was a passionate bird photographer, but his biggest frustration was that at those days the cameras was very big, and he started to develop his own camera. It's a more kind of compact and easier to use in a modularity way. Moreover, there were some iconic moments that were captured on a Hasselblad. The Beatles crossing Abbey Road, Steve Jobs' portrait shot with a CFV. Hasselblad was the first camera on the moon. Buzz Aldrin shooting Armstrong. Still 12 cameras on the moon and one came back. At the end, Hasselblad has to deliver the platform where they can push the creativity, and we are just, at the end, the enabler.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
To understand why people love Hasselblad cameras, it helps to look at this image. If you zoom way in, you can see incredible detail. The photos are fantastic, but it's a little more complicated than that. Hasselblad has been making cameras for 80 years, but they weren't always this expensive. In 1948, Hasselblad's first consumer camera cost around $500, or about $5,900 today. And, adjusted for inflation, its film cameras from the 70s cost around $5,300. But when the company transitioned to digital, the price exploded. In 2004, Hasselblad's first digital camera sold for around $24,000. That was more than a 200% price increase from its previous model, which used film. Okay, so it's expensive, but what actually makes this camera different? Hasselblad's high-end cameras consist of three main parts: the digital back, the body, and the lens. Just the digital back, which includes the sensor, costs over $26,000.
The Hasselblad sensor is unique in the way that it's much larger in an area. The individual pixel is bigger, and that provides lower noise and wider dynamic range.
Take a look at this photo of a motorcycle. When you zoom in, you can clearly see the texture of the handle and the wear on its tires. Larger sensors capture more detail, and Hasselblad's is one of the biggest available. Its cameras are what's called medium format. Basically, it means the sensor is big, and it's what makes these cameras so expensive. Your smartphone camera sensor is around this big. A popular professional camera, like the Sony a7R, is much larger. But it looks tiny compared to Hasselblad's sensor.
When medium format technology transitioned from analog to digital, the medium format sensors became extremely expensive, and the camera systems became extremely expensive and very niche.
The sensor in this camera is actually made by Sony, but Hasselblad has its own proprietary calibration process to achieve the colors and image quality it wants.
You can shoot your video on the camera, or you can use HDMI cable to directly shoot into, let's say, a recorder and shoot RAW.